Play viewers, I'm Sandy Peckinpah, and I am so glad that you are watching this replay. I am so excited to share my story with you, and also in hopes that you will be able to use your life story. Liberty, thank you for joining. And there was somebody else I just missed. Oh, darn it. Cynthia, yay. If you want to, the person that just came on, Knowledge Loving, thank you for joining me. Liberty, thank you for joining me. And somebody else came on. I wanted to thank you for joining me. Virtual NLP coach, fantastic. Oh my gosh. And Kimberly, thank you for joining me. Wow, we're getting a great listening audience today. I'm so glad. So I scope about using your life and your story as your life and your story as the backdrop for creating the greatest life you can ever imagine. I'm a writer, I'm an author, I am so many things that I want to share with you because everybody in their lives have value and purpose, and that's what I want to talk about today. So here we go. Hello. Thank you for joining me, and we have a nice audience today. I call this broadcast "Courage is to tell the story of who you are with your whole heart." And I'm sure everybody knows that quote by now because that quote comes from Brene Brown. And I know she inspired me in so many ways. Her TED Talk is probably one of the greatest TED Talks of all time, in my opinion. Have you seen her TED Talk? I'm sure you have it. And her book is fantastic. And she talks so much about being transparent and how important it is to tell the truth because that's our connection. Oh, you know what? Take a look at it on YouTube because it's a fantastic talk. She talks a lot about telling the truth, about shame, about telling your story with your whole heart. And that's what I want to talk to you about today because I want to help people creatively express their lives and get their message out by sharing their story with the world because every story has value and purpose. And I learned this in a very real way because I didn't have the courage to write on my own until about 1990. I was working with my husband. He was a screenwriter. He wrote many television series, a hit movie for Disney, lots of things that we created. He was always the writer though, and I was always the participant in the way that I would edit his work. I would help him create characters. I was an actress, so I studied acting for 5 years and really learned about how to create characters and set the stage, about the backstory, all of that. And for those of you who are writers, you know how important that is, about really understanding not only your audience, but who you want to be on the written page. And thank you, Cynthia, for retweeting this. This is wonderful. And thank you for the hearts. Gosh, I think I'm over 10,000 hearts now. 10,000 hearts, and that's from all of you tapping the screen and helping me get there. So I am so grateful. And if you feel like sharing this broadcast with someone that you love and care about and that maybe this could be helpful to them, I write a lot about writing. I speak about writing. I had a radio show for 3 years in Northern California, and I talked about passion and writing and my love of sharing my story. So if you know someone who might benefit, if you swipe right, I have to swipe opposite, I think, because I'm in the camera. But if you swipe right for iPhone and up for Android, you can share the broadcast, and it might be helpful to someone. I hope so. So anyway, thank you for joining me. When people hear that I'm a writer or an author and they find out that I've written a book, the response is usually, "Oh, I wish I could write my life story. I have so much to tell. My story is so unique." And I know there are several writers on this broadcast with me who could say the same thing. Is that right? Because I know that people wish that they could write. And yes, Liberty, you certainly do. Yes, and so do you. And we all have a story that is unique to us. And that story is something that we treasure. And we can look at it from a perspective and say, wow, I have survived. Not only that, my story was my launch pad to who I am today. And so I want to express that there's more than one way to tell a story other than writing. If you're a writer, yes, that speaks to me. That speaks to, I know, a number of you on this broadcast. Taking the time to do it is important. Yes, absolutely, because it is a commitment. It's a huge commitment. But if you love it and it flows, there is nothing better than that feeling. But there's more than one way to tell your story with your whole heart and having the courage to do it. One way is to speak. Another way is to do these broadcasts on Periscope. Another is to do it through art, express yourself through art. Another is through friendship, calling someone up and telling your story to someone who is suffering or struggling. Another is through gardening, creating something that's so magnificent it reminds you that no matter how difficult the winter was, the spring brings new blooms and joy and beauty. There's also the expression of business. And thank you for all those beautiful hearts, because there's also an expression that you have in business. Business is where you spend a huge part of your day. And therefore, it's one of the highest expressions and opportunities that you have to express your story and who you are. And so never lose track of the fact that your story has value and purpose, not only on the written page, but in everything you do. When you cook a beautiful meal and you give it to your family, that's an expression of love and who you are. And again, I want to get back to Brene Brown's "You Deserve All of the Hearts and More." Thank you. Thanks, Liberty. I love that. I want to get back to saying about courage is to tell the story of who you are with your whole heart, because that was the toughest part for me. In writing my book, How to Survive the Worst That Can Happen, and telling my story about the loss of my child, my son, my beautiful boy, I had to reveal some things about me that were very difficult. And if you haven't read my book, one of the things that I talk about is the obsessive behavior that was so difficult for me that I had to seek help for it. And it was a way of not feeling feelings. And Brene Brown talks about that, the vulnerability and the shame. And I almost didn't want to talk about it in my book because it was so difficult. And I finally wrote the chapter and I felt so free. That's a benefit of telling your whole story with your whole heart. Because once you release it to the written page, you're letting it go. You can become an observer instead of emotionally involved in it. E.S. Rudd, thank you for joining me. Did you identify with it, Cynthia? I'm so glad, because I know that I did. I just knew that there was somebody else out there like me that was feeling that there was something wrong with me. And if you've just joined me, I'm Sandy Peckinpah, and I talk a lot about writing, but also about using your story to heal, to help others, to create your place in the world, to tell your story and have the courage to tell it with your whole heart. And I love sharing with you because I know that other people's stories have value and purpose to me. And so I have, in my book, I talk about how I developed this obsessive behavior, and it would usually happen about 9 or 10 o'clock at night, where I didn't want to face the night because it scared me to go to sleep, because I knew the next morning I'd wake up and remember. I really did so many wide-eyed, oh my God, yes moments in that chapter. Wow. Okay, thank you. Because I woke up, was afraid of waking up, because in the first few moments when I would wake up, I was reminded again, wow, my son died. And I have to get used to it all over again. So I would avoid going to sleep. And so I would find anything I could do to organize the part of my life that I knew I could have control over, and not have to think about the part that I didn't have control over. Live it again every morning. Yes, that's what happens. But then one day you wake up and it's not so prevalent. And that's the hope that I want to give to people who are still so raw with loss, is that the days in between get longer where you feel the pain, and it does happen, and healing does happen. Yeah. Okay, thank you. E.S. Rudd, thank you. Yeah, that resonates. I'm so glad. The other part that I talk about in the obsessive behavior is I used to have what's called magical thinking. I thought that if I said to my other 3 children, have a great day, be safe, that I was somehow wrapping them in bubble wrap and they wouldn't die. I had lost one child and I was scared to death to lose another one. And so somehow every day I said those words, and if I didn't say them, if I forgot when they walked out the door to go to school, I drove to the school and I would watch them on the playground and I'd say it silently because I was so terrified. And I really thought that magical thinking worked. Well, that was magical thinking because it didn't work. What worked is hard work in healing and recovery and writing about it. And that's why I'm so absolutely passionate about telling my story and have you write yours, even if it's in a journal or expressing it and planting flowers, or thank you, Liberty, or taking a friend to lunch who's had an experience of loss. And you know, there are over 40 kinds of loss that people can have. It's not just loss of a loved one. It's divorce. It's financial upset. It's a change of health. There are so many avenues. It's loss of a pet. These are all things that affect every person, and it's what connects us as humans, is that no one is immune to loss. We all experience it in some way or at some time or another. And so in writing about it, when you put it on the written page, it helps you heal because you release it. It comes out of your brain onto the written page. You don't have to ever share it, but I'm telling you, there is value in sharing it beyond what I ever imagined. And in fact, I want to share something really exciting with you today because you're my audience and you're my people that come here every day and listen to me speak. And I've given 18 scopes now, and I continue to get my wonderful friends like you on here. And thank you for joining me. I just saw somebody else joined, but I want to share something really special. So my book, How to Survive the Worst That Can Happen, a parent's step-by-step guide to healing after the loss of a child, just got another award last night, and I am so proud. The event was held in Florida. I couldn't go, but they sent me the medallion. And I got 2 years in a row, yay, 2 years in a row, the silver medal for the Reader's Favorite Award for my book. And I am so proud of it. I am so proud of it. It makes being transparent. It makes being vulnerable. Thank you. Thanks, Cynthia, thank you. I appreciate that. I am so excited because now I've received so many awards, but what the awards do for me is it validates my purpose. And that's the other thing I want you to know about your story, is that it exists for a reason. It is your reason. It is your why. It's the best way to make peace with your past. It offers a tool for perspective, but also it'll tell you what your why is if you really study it. And that's what I'm going to be talking about in my class that I'm coming up free. It's a Periscope 5-day writing challenge. Lets you know that someone needed your story. Yes, Kimberly, it lets you know that you've made a difference in someone's life. And it offers that tool. And one thing that I wanted to share with you is that if you do a timeline, and I'm going to be sharing this in my 5-day writing challenge on Periscope that's absolutely free. In fact, if you want to join me on it and you want to be emailed, email me at sandy@sandypeckinpah.com. If you want to take a screenshot of it, you can email me and I'll put you on my email list. And let's see, I think, Kimberly, I know you're on that list, and I think you have, when I send you a notice, you have to confirm that you agree to be on the list because of all the spam laws. So I want to make sure that you get that and you acknowledge that email that I sent you. So, yes, I mean, from writing, okay, yes. Is it going to your regular list? It will be, and on my Periscope list. So if you want to just, I know you're already on my list, so yes, I'm going to do it. I verified already. Fantastic. I'm sorry I didn't check my emails today. So one of the tools that I use in looking at my life and being able to become an observer and also to organize my story to share with others, to discover my life's purpose, is something that I'm going to be sharing with you, and I'm going to be sending, let's see if we can do it this way, sending you in a download is a timeline and a story arc. And I use this tool for people who are healing from loss because, as some of you know, I have been certified as a grief recovery specialist, and I don't do it all the time. I did it, I got my certification to validate myself in what I was doing was the right way to help others. And so I use a lot of their tools in my own work, and it's such a wonderful organization, the Grief Recovery Institute in Los Angeles. But I use something called a timeline that helps you create the story arc in your work. It helps uncover some things that you just can't even believe. And I'm going to be using that in my 5-day writing challenge. And so the other thing I wanted to say is that see your life as a gift. There are so many of you who feel that suffering is something to be ashamed of, or that you're exhausted by it. Suffering is a very real part of life that we all experience. And if you're going through something so difficult, I am so sorry. And I hold you in my prayers because there's nothing easy about it. But what I can tell you is offer you hope, because I know there are even people on this broadcast who have survived so much that they are helping other people through their story and sharing what they're about. Liberty, the purpose of life is to learn, exactly. And so if you can see your life as the gift it is to others, it's important to share it. Again, Brene Brown, the courage to tell your story with your whole heart. Telling your story uncovers your why. And I didn't know until I wrote my book, my first book, Rosie the Imperfect Angel, which I didn't know until 20 years later the lives that it had affected, and I have talked about that on my broadcast before. And then this book, How to Survive the Worst That Can Happen. It has a broader reach than I ever dreamed possible. But it uncovered my why, and that is to be doing exactly what I'm doing right now. And that's sharing strength and hope and courage to tell your whole story with your whole heart. And people want to learn from others who are like themselves. If they can do it, I can do it. That's what people think. If they can do it, I can do it. Think back to books that really made a difference in your life. Maybe ordinary people. That made a difference in your life. I can think of many, like Wild by Cheryl Strayed, and Eat, Pray, Love, Elizabeth Gilbert. Ordinary people with extraordinary stories that helped shape their lives and their gift to us so that we have a new perspective in looking at suffering. It's a miracle. And if you thought that you could change one life, would you do it? Absolutely. Absolutely. And you know what? I know that my book is making a difference and that there's a story inside of you. Eat, Pray, Love did amazing things in my life, Liberty says, and yes, in my life too. I learned it came at the perfect time in my life when I read that book. There are other books that I want to share with you in the broadcast to come that have been life-changing for me, some about writing, some ordinary people, extraordinary lives. It all shapes who you are and your ability to tell your story. Because if they have the courage to tell their story, then you have the courage to tell your story. And there's one more thing before I go, because I'm driving to Los Angeles today to see my best friend in life, and she happened to write the foreword on this book. Let me see if you know who she is. I'm going to show a picture of us. Can you see that? Anybody recognize her? She is my best friend in life. We've been best friends for over 25 years. Does anybody know who that is? Melissa. Yeah. Yep. Melissa Gilbert is the actress from Little House on the Prairie. You watched her grow up, Laura Ingalls. She is my best friend in life. She wrote the foreword for my book, but more than that, she walked me through the experiences in my life, and there have been more than one loss. And I am so grateful for her. And she is in Los Angeles today, and I don't want to miss a single opportunity to spend time with her. This picture was taken. She led me to you and your book, so thankful for her mention of her excitement. Your book was coming. Yes, she did on Twitter, didn't she? This picture was taken at the rehearsal dinner for my daughter's wedding in June. She is my daughter's godmother, my children's godmother, and she also took a very big role in the wedding. I'm so incredibly blessed to have her in my life. And so I'm going to go be with her and celebrate our big win in our book, another award from the reader's favorite, and that's 2 years in a row. Yay! I'm so excited. Thank you for joining me. I want so much for you to share your story. I want you to be surrounded by love. I want you to enjoy every single day as a woman of strength, a woman of beauty, and committed to a joyful, successful life. I'm sending you all I've got in gratitude and love. And I'll be back tomorrow, if not tonight, but I don't think I'll get back from LA until it's too late to scope. So I'll be doing a Periscope tomorrow. And oh, Julie, if you, and Wendy, wow, if you just joined me, I hope that you watched the replay. I was just saying that I had to sign off a little early today because I'm going to visit my best friend in life, Melissa Gilbert. She helped me write this book. Well, she didn't help me. She helped me write it in many ways, in that her support was undying, but she wrote the foreword for it. And I'm going to be spending the afternoon with her. I miss her, and we're going to have a great time celebrating the Reader's Favorite Award that we just got for the book. So thank you again for joining me. I hope you watched the replay. And if you have any questions about my 5-day writing challenge on Periscope, absolutely free. I want you to join me. That is wonderful. Thank you, Wendy. I'm thrilled. I'm absolutely thrilled. So bless you and have a wonderful day. I'll be back tomorrow. Thank you. You too.